The year is 1610. An Italian astronomer named Galileo Galilei has become fascinated by this new invention called the telescope. He makes one by himself in his home and points it to the skies to unearth the wonders that lie above him. After making some church shaking discoveries about the nature of our solar system, he points his telescope to the most distant planet known to humankind, Saturn, and sees this.
This is what he proclaims when he sees this for the first time. He says, Saturn is not alone, but is composed of three, which almost touch one another and never move nor change with respect to one another. That last part.
Well, as it turns out, 2 years later, when Galileo looks again, Saturn turns bare.
Mystified, Galileo remarked, I do not know what to say in a case so surprising, so unlooked for, and so novel. Has Saturn swallowed his children?
Thankfully, the children appear again next year, but this time in the form of arms. Galileo knows the weight of his discovery and sends this jumbled up phrase to his contemporaries as a way to establish ownership of the new discovery without giving it away. The phrase is an anagram for Altissimum Planetum Tergeminum Observavi, which translates to I have observed the most distant planet to have a triple form.
This was a discovery which was really confounding. What is up with this planet? This has never been seen before in anything else. What's going on? And Galileo couldn't understand. Galileo could never understand until his death that he was looking at rings.
Finally, in 1655, the Dutch astronomer Christian Huygens used a much better telescope to figure out that Saturn had rings.
And so began the mystery of Saturn's rings. What are they made of? What's going on? How are they just hanging out in the sky like that? Are the laws of physics different on the Earth and different on Saturn? Or is gravity doing its magic in that way? How massive is it? How thick is it? How big is it? How is it sustaining itself? Why is it not collapsing on the surface of this huge planet? Why? How? What are they made of?
200 years would pass after the discovery of the rings, with only a few minor improvements in our understanding of their nature, before the problem was picked up by James Clerk Maxwell. Instead of focusing on getting visual evidence, Maxwell focused on the mechanical stability of the rings. You see, the ring system has to be in a stable equilibrium. Otherwise, over time, because of random forces from the planet and its moons, the ring system would collapse. Maxwell had three possibilities to work with: a solid ring, a fluid ring, a ring made of many unconnected particles. Maxwell deduced that a solid ring would need to have 81 to 83% of its mass in one location of the ring, and it would have to be so accurate that any small change would collapse the system. Clearly, this is an unstable equilibrium. For the second possibility, Maxwell showed mathematically that a fluid ring, because of the waves caused by any irregularities, would separate into chunks, again an unstable equilibrium. The third possibility on mathematical analysis showed to have the necessary flexibility that any wave produced in such a system would dissipate slowly and not cause a collapse.
This is the only possibility that is useful, that is possible in the case of Saturn's rings. So Maxwell published his findings and he won the 1857 Adams Prize for it. And he got recognition and it was nice. But what is the most important thing about this whole question is that for the first time in the history of astronomy, in the history of physics, had a person solved a physical question of what something is made of, what a body that's so far away is made of, using mathematical questions, using pure mathematics. And this was such a watershed moment in the history of science. A lot of science was kind of shaped by this attitude that whatever is happening over there in millions and millions of kilometers away follows the same laws as we do here on the earth, and we can use those laws to understand what's going on, to find real answers.
And now in 2019, we have the pleasure of looking at Saturn's rings up close thanks to Cassini mission and the beautiful images sent back by Cassini spacecraft, which will blow your mind and prove that Maxwell was right.